Here with reaction, Fox News contributor Hugh Hewitt and former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Mark, start with you. What does this tell you? I mean, I'm making fun of it, but the idea we're going to talk about, Mark, have you been to the game lately? Mark, you want to go grab a brewski? They're paying millions of dollars to learn how to talk to people. We're going to be more Trumpian. We're going to put in a few cuss words and see if that is relatable for people. I mean, I don't even, it's funny to me at this point. It's comical.
Well, it is comical, but it's also sad, Sean. I think probably the biggest thing is they saw in November that authenticity worked for Donald Trump. So now what they're doing, just as you said, they're being coached to be authentic, and yet it's coming across very pale. Here's the other interesting thing is when you're talking about a candidate for mayor of New York City being invited to Washington, D.C., so that they could learn the lessons of his primary victory, that's a scary thought, because you don't have to go any further than those Cuban Americans that you were mentioning down in Florida, some of the greatest patriots. They'll tell you what communism is all about. And yet here you've got the Democrat Party so desperate for a leader that they're reaching out for this socialist Marxist from New York.
You know, Hugh, we've both been on radio for a long time. And when I was a local host in Huntsville, Alabama, from 1990 to 92, I met a guy. His name was Armando de Quesada. He opened a place. It was called Meadows Pizza. He was from Cuba. And the greatest guy, and he told me his whole family's history. His whole family was killed. They were a wealthy family. Their land confiscated. He was part of the resistance. Many of his friends, most of them got killed also. He barely escaped in a rubber raft and got out of there. And people don't know those stories. That infuriates me. That is, this is the story of communism, Marxism, socialism. I wrote a whole chapter in Live Free or Die. It's history of failure. Whatever form, manifestation, name you put on it, it always ends the same. Broken promises, more poverty, and a loss of freedom. Thoughts?
Well, my thought is, first, I'm laughing along with you at Comrade Mamdani. I think that is going to be pretty much 90% of my content for the next 4 months, because he's such a radical and Democrats are obliged to embrace him. And so, you know, we've both been in the radio business a long time. Callers will talk about Mamdani forever. I just can't believe New York will embrace him. But you just touched on a serious point. When Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush brought down the Soviet Union, thousands and millions of people fled as soon as they could to the West because they wanted to get a taste, just a little bit of capitalism. When I bet there is a Cuban American listening right now who descended from refugees of Castro, as you just pointed out, who are not incredibly upset with the idea of Comrade Mamdani running New York and talking about the commodification of housing and the abolishment of private property and why do we need prisons. They've been there. They know the family history. It's funny to me. It's funny to you. But it's deadly serious to the people who live in New York. Thank gosh. It's not my problem. It's going to be your problem, Sean.
Yeah. Mark, if you had to put a number on it, what percentage of the Democratic Party is embracing the squad? Jasmine Crockett, Grandpa Bernie, Pocahontas, and Mamdani?
Yeah, now it's probably well over 60 to 65% of the Democrat Party is embracing that. The other 35%, they're in fear of the Crockett's and the AOCs and this new Marxist coming from New York. They're afraid of them because they have a small base, and yet what Hugh is talking about is critically important. What we see is that each and every day on Main Street, we reject those ideas of communism and socialism, and yet the Democrats are embracing it. You know, they've got a real problem. You pointed out their approval rating is so low. That's because independents that lean towards Democrats are now saying, I don't want to have anything to do with it. We've seen it in southern state after southern state where the Democrat Party left the Democrats, and that's what's happening here.
All right, Mark Meadows, Hugh Hewitt, good to see you both. Thank you both. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.